Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, across our beautiful country of Canada, our friends around the world in the known and unknown universe. Welcome back to your favorite Angry Canadian on the 9th day of February 2024, and I am wound up. Oh man, am I ever wound up? And it's a bit delayed reaction, because a couple of days ago I heard that the feds are providing $143 million to shelter asylum seekers. Who the F are these asylum seekers? They are economic migrants. Economic, that's what they come for. And Canada has welcomed, what is it, 1 million in a year? Holy shit! And if you take a look at who's coming to Canada, who's coming to dinner, it's families, there's kids, there's older people, they don't speak the language. Then there's a bunch of young people, the cell phone crowds. What the hell are we letting them in for? If they're fleeing anything, it's got to be Western interventions in the Middle East, but that's it. Stop the friggin' madness. At least that's what I say.
What kind of fuckery is this?
I want to start by saying, as a Toronto MP, Mayor Olivia Chow, I am so glad that our federal government has provided more support for the City of Toronto than any other federal government in Canadian history. Full stop. Since 2015, our federal government has provided $5.79 billion in direct support to the City of Toronto. In 23-24, the current fiscal year alone, the federal government is providing $1.65 billion directly to the City of Toronto. That is money which is flowing right now. We believe in Toronto. We believe in working closely with this great city to build this city and to be sure that Torontonians have all the opportunities to flourish. A focus, I think, for all of us is housing. We have already committed the federal government over $6 billion for housing to support the people of Toronto. And in fact, this is the second announcement that Samina and I have done together in the past, is it 3 weeks? We were together just a few weeks ago in the Distillery District announcing a mixed use housing development, a really impressive one that has affordable housing, fully integrated with market housing. It's a rental. And Samina was there because there are Costy clients who are already living there. It's an incredibly beautiful building, and it was really moving for me to know that that building, which is being built in part through federal support, people are already living there. They're finishing another part of the project, is housing people who have benefited from Costy's wraparound support. We also recognize the absolute importance of public transit for the City of Toronto. That's why we've committed $8.5 billion to Toronto for public transit projects. That includes funding for new made-in-Canada streetcars. And the mayor and I were at announcement, it was just before Christmas, right? Of those streetcars, we got to sit on them. They look really great. Also new electric buses for the TTC. Capacity improvements at Bloor-Yonge Station. So essential, and actually it's in my riding, funding to build the Ontario line, the Scarborough Subway extension, and the Eglinton Crosstown West extension. So we believe in this city. We are here to support the City of Toronto, the people of Toronto. And I'm here to announce that we are providing further support. The federal government is investing $143 million through the Interim Housing Assistance Program to help Toronto provide housing for asylum seekers. Today's announcement is part of the $362.4 million in new funding for the Interim Housing Assistance Program that our Immigration Minister, Mark Miller, announced earlier this week. And it is in addition to the $97 million top-up our government announced to the IHAP program for the City of Toronto last July.
What kind of fuckery is this?
My son, 25 years old, still lives at home with us, college grad, good paying job. He laughs off the idea that he'll ever own a house, a detached house like the one he lives in now, that we were able to afford 25 years ago. He just thinks it's a joke, the housing prices are ridiculous, there's no way he's ever going to be able to afford the kind of mortgage it would take, cripple him for life. So I want to ask your thoughts on that, those, people starting out in their 20s and early 30s. What do you say to them? Do you say give up on detached ownership and go for something smaller and it's a dream that's dead? You're never going to get there? Let me ask how you feel about it.
Obviously, I've heard from Canadians like your son across the country who are really worried about the housing market, who wonder whether or not they'll ever be able to afford a home. One of the challenges we're facing in Canada is...
Ooh, I got the answer. Look at me, I got the answer. We have a stupid, useless Prime Minister who is not looking after the interests of Canada and people equally across the country, but he's more interested in the World Economic Forum, Bill Gates, Build Back Better. You haven't heard that for a long time, have you? But there's a lot of this shit happening, World Health Organization. And then on top of it, he spits in Canadians' faces by bringing in 1 million, and they're not refugees. They are economic migrants. Economic. I mean, take a look at what's happened in Europe over the years with economic migrants. It's not a pretty picture.
Our population with immigration and other things has been growing over the past years, and housing construction hasn't kept up, which is a real problem. And that's why one of the initiatives we're working on, $4 billion towards municipalities in order to double the construction of new housing over the coming years. This is something that is going to help. Whether it's enough or directly going to be helping your son, we'll have to see, because there's not just one program that's going to help anyone. There's going to be a range of programs, from programs of renting to own that we've launched as well in this budget, from programs that are helping the first-time home buyers with increased incentives and reduction in their mortgage costs, initiatives to build greater density, particularly around public transit, that are going to allow people to get into the housing market with their first starter condo, starter home. These are the kinds of things that get people's toes in the door. We know that young people need to be able to build the stable base with which they want to start a family, give their future kids the kinds of opportunities that their parents worked hard to give them. And that's what this budget and this focus of the government is on right now.
He is an evil man. No wonder his wife even left him. And this is why people around the world are looking for new leadership. Because this guy's not a friggin' leader. You know, he doesn't get any... He's just a dictator. A hell of a dictator. You know who gets to be a leader?
Alberta, that's exactly right. Al-freaking-berta, as we call it. I was so excited to be here that I actually called the CBC, and I said, I'm in town, which they were aware of, and I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to talk to as many Canadians as possible. And we talked to a very nice guy. I think he's new there. And he's like, sure. And we call back, and we were speaking in Calgary earlier, and they had a CBC guy there. And I said, look, I would love to talk to the CBC. I'll answer any question you like, and I dare you to put it on TV. No. And I wasn't just outraged because there's a state media organization that's totally opposed to free speech, which is a little weird since the media should be the defenders of the things that, make their careers possible. But it also offended me personally because I feel like I have some ownership of the CBC, not because I'm a Canadian taxpayer, because I am secretly, and I never reveal this part, Canadian. And I am. And I wouldn't say this, honestly, to an audience in Los Angeles or New York or Denver, because I don't want to be singled out, or treated differently. But it's actually true. My dad's family's from Nova Scotia. And we had a place in Nova Scotia my whole life until a few years ago when we sold it to a guy called Gerald Cotton.
The Chrystia Freeland version of fascism. Yes. And I know a lot about this because I knew Chrystia Freeland when she, was a journalist at the Financial Times, whose name shall forever live in infamy for employing her. And I remember even then thinking, this woman is not bright at all. But boy, does she have high self-esteem. I don't think I've ever even seen it's off the, I don't know what the self-esteem measurement scale is, the Richter scale. But her self-esteem was literally unassailable. It was bomb-proof. If a nuclear bomb dropped on your town, you could hide beneath Chrystia Freeland's self-esteem and live. There's like nothing you could do to shake it. Nothing. No amount of evidence of her stupidity and wrong decisions and idiotic views could dissuade her from the core belief that she was awesome and you were not. And I kind of stood back in admiration. So I guess I shouldn't be totally shocked that she's helping to run and destroy your country. But she's doing it in her signature way. She's not getting on the CBC, her media outlet, which like almost all outlets in this wonderful oppressed country is run by the government. It's all state media. It's Albania 1985. And I'm sure we have people whose families are refugees from Albania. Welcome. And you know what I'm talking about. But at least you could say of the Albanian leader in 1985, Enver Hoxha, that when he went full fascist, he just didn't mince words. Shut up and obey or we'll shoot you. Chrystia Freeland is wise enough, clever enough, in her serpent-like way, to make it all about your protection and safety. All about your protection and safety. No, we're just trying to help you. That's why you're in shackles. You're being arrested right now for your safety. Oh, it's for the common good. Don't worry, you'll understand. I always want to say, Mrs. Freeland, can I go to the bathroom? No, you can't. And you can just imagine her taking great glee as your fourth grade self wet his pants in class as Mrs. Freeland refuses to let you go to the bathroom. So that's kind of more diabolical than what we've seen in previous generations, and it's much more effective in a committedly polite country like Canada, because you don't know that it's happening. And because a demagogue like that, or your completely bizarre, cross-dressing prime minister, it's true, Prime Minister Blackface, I didn't wear blackface, he did. He, 3 times, thank you. 3 times, and I want to thank you for your commitment to the fact. The Prime Minister, their attack on your rights, which is an attack on you and your children, is cloaked in the language of therapy, self-help, and compassion. You're doing this for the common good. Don't you care about the elderly? And of course, being a decent person, you care very deeply about the elderly and the weakest in your society, of course. So what you don't realize as you shuffle off to abandon another God-given right to a totalitarian government is that this is not being done on behalf of a marginalized group or the weakest among us or the elderly. They hijack the language of the gospel to crush the gospel. That's exactly what they're doing.
Oh, I'm so frustrated. I'm redoing the segment over and over because I want to keep flying F-bombs all over the place about Trudeau and what's being done to Canada in the name of I don't know what. It's not in the name of Canadians, that's for damn sure. But I'm gonna, take it easy now. I'm gonna stop and I'll be back with more videos. I still have a lot to say about Chrystia Freeland and the Liberal Party and Trudeau, but also global events. What's happening in the world, because it all impacts us. So thank you for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and see you tomorrow.